Hello and welcome to Haunted Kentucky, a new series I'm starting where I can talk about all of the spooky shit that supposedly happens in my home state. Small panic! Today we are starting off with Kentucky's version of Man-Bear Pig, which would be the Pope Lick Monster. And no, it doesn't have anything to do with going around and licking popes, it has everything to do where it's from. The Pope Lick Monster, also called the Goat Man of Kentucky, is a part man, part goat, part sheep creature that lives beneath the railroad trestle bridge over Pope Lick Creek. And if you're wondering where Pope Lick is, it's in Louisville. They even made a movie about it. But essentially, what this thing is, half man, half goat, half sheep. It lives under the bridge. And depending on who's telling the story, the things that he does to people that crosses over or under the bridge varies, but it's all not swell. There's other people that just say that the devil lives under that bridge, which honestly isn't that far off since, early representation of the devil was a goat man. People would just kind of make that connection. But in good pagan fashion, if you leave an offering of coins on the bridge, he's supposed to leave you the fuck alone. Have I ever seen the Pope Lick Monster? No. Am I terrified of that fucking bridge? Yeah. But that's all I have for today. I hope you guys have a good one. Bye! Hello and welcome to Haunted Kentucky, a series I'm starting so I have an excuse to talk about all of the spooky shit that happens in my home state. Small panic! Today is one that everybody from Kentucky should probably know, and that is the local legend of the Dog Man. What is the Dog Man? It's essentially like a homegrown werewolf, except stronger, I guess. From what we can gather, it comes from a supposed curse that was put on a man. A very unlike lycanthropy where you have to be bitten in order to turn into a werewolf. Now, the biggest difference between the Dog Man of Kentucky and actual werewolves seems to be the size. Much like in comparison to coyotes and wolves, the Dog Man of Kentucky is more slender than it is muscular, so a lot of people also call him the Coyote Man. However, this legend started in the 80s and is specifically from Murray, Kentucky. And the Dog Man also gets the entire blame of a family massacre that happened in the 80s. There's not just one legend of the Dog Man though. There's multiple, in multiple different locations too, which leaves a lot of people left believing that there's not just a dog man, there's dog men, dog women, dog people, whatever you want to call them. There's also been a couple of sightings of the Dog Man around Cincinnati Zoo, which is where I first learned about him. But that's all I have for today. I hope you guys have a good one. Bye! Hello and welcome to Haunted Kentucky, a series I started so I'd have an excuse to talk about all of the spooky shit that happens in my home state. Small panic. Today's a little unusual. We are going to be talking about something that is usually taken as a legend but is actually 100% true, and that would be the Blue People of Kentucky. Huzzah! So the Blue People of Kentucky, better known as the Fugate family, shared a unique biological composition that made them blue. They are an ancestral family living in Troublesome Creek, and they were first documented in the 1800s. Now, I know what your next question is going to be. No, they are not aliens. No, this is not an example of evolution. Nor do they have a vitamin deficiency. It's a little more sinister than that. The family has inbred so fucking much that they are now blue. Yeah. Let that sink in for a minute. The family, the Fugate family, the Blue People of Kentucky, had such a straight and narrow family tree that genetically it changed them and turned them fucking blue. The family also has other developmental issues along their bloodline that follows because of the incest. However, the fact remains that they're 100% true. This is not a legend. This is all fact and no cap. Now, scientifically, the reason why this happened is because the original two both had a recessive gene, and by the grace of fucking God, a 1 in a bazillion chance, that resulted in 4 of their 7 children having blue skin. And due to the interbreeding, they continued to have the blue skin. I'm pretty sure that the inbreeding has stopped. However, the blue skin has not. That is still an identifiable trait of that family to this day. And if I can speak 100% candidly, they are very sweet people. Very, very lovely family. Or at least they have been to me. I don't know if they're bad guys behind closed doors, but they've never been mean to me. But that's all I have for today. I hope you guys have a good one. Bye. Hello and welcome to Haunted Kentucky, a series I started that gives me an excuse to talk about the spooky shit that happens in my home state. Small panic. So far we have talked about the Dog Man, the Pope Lick Monster, and the true story of the Blue People of Kentucky. Today we're taking a deviation. Again! moving away from true history and moving right back into folklore and spooky shit. Huzzah! And today we have Bobby Mackey's, a place I used to live right down the road from. When I lived next to it though, it was fallen down and decrepit. Really needed some repairs. However, the stories about this bar that continue to circulate to this day still have people's timbers fucking shivered. And we're gonna talk about it right fucking now. Huzzah! So before we talk about it, I want you to know that this is literally just a bar. It looks 100% normal. It's in Wilder, Kentucky. They have live music. It's a vibe. A lot of things happened in that bar though. And this little bar has been featured on the Travel Channel, Ghost Adventures, all of the big things. And for years now, it's been credited as one of the most haunted places in Kentucky. So what's the history? It's hard because there's a lot. So not only did it start out as a slaughterhouse that was thought to be the gateway to hell, after the slaughterhouse closed in the 1890s, in the 1896, there was a murder of a pregnant woman that happened there. In the 1920s, it was a speakeasy during the Prohibition. In the 30s, when Prohibition ended, they refused to sell the bar and violence ensued because they refused to sell. In the 1950s, there was a tragic suicide that happened because the nightclub owner fell in love with a singer. When I say a lot has happened there, girl, I mean a lot has happened there. That's just the tip of the iceberg. The paranormal shit that happens there, though, will blow your fucking mind. There's literally a list of all of the shit that has happened to the owners and the people that have gone in and had a drink there. Do I think everything here is inherently true? No. Do I think that it's really fun to read about, and do I think the bar is really cute? Yeah. But that's all I have for today. I hope you guys have a good one. Bye. Mwah. Hello and welcome to Haunted Kentucky, a series I started so I can have an excuse to talk about the spooky shit that happens in my home state. Small panic! Today we're going to be talking about goblins, specifically the goblins of Hopkinsville. Yes, Hopkinsville, Kentucky. But they're not the kind of goblins that you think. These are supposedly aliens, the little green kind. Now this story differs from our usual encounters a little bit in two key ways. One, there was not one, not two, but 5 adults and 7 children that witnessed this event. And 2, they were pro-Second Amendment, so nobody got killed, abducted, or nothing like that. Huzzah! Now the way that this story supposedly goes is that a family of 12 people, specifically 2 brothers, Elmer and John Sutton, reported they saw a flying saucer land near the farmhouse where they were staying the night at. Little men then surrounded the house, peering at the frightened family. However, John and Billy decided that they were going to have to take the house over their dead body and fought off the beings with a shotgun and a pistol several hours before they were able to leave and notify police. The way that they describe these little dudes is terrifying. They said that they're like short, bald monkeys. They have webbed feet and talons, large, bright, offset eyes, and pointy ears. What? Jesus fucking Christ! The only reason why they are seen as aliens is because of the little ship that was flying around the farmhouse. If it wasn't for the UAP that appeared over the farmhouse, they would have believed that it was like English goblins. Now some people claim that this was a prank or a stunt, and others swear up, down, and sideways their hand to God that it was 100% real. There's no way that we'll ever know. Do I personally think that it was real? Probably not. Do I think it's really fun to think and read about? Hell yes. Did you know that Kentucky had their own version of Sleepy Hollow? Hi and welcome to Haunted Kentucky, a series I started so I can have an excuse to talk about all of the spooky stuff that happens in my home state. Small panic! So this road specifically is located in Oldham County, and for years, people have claimed it to be haunted. Not by a headless horseman, specifically by a haunted hearse. You heard me right. So the story essentially goes, if you are driving down this road, you are going to most likely be driving alone because it is a back road. People take this road by accident. It's not a major highway. But 2, when you get on the road, you're going to get the feeling that something's watching you and the hair's going to stand up on the back of your neck. After that feeling hits, of course you're going to be checking in all of your mirrors, right? Seeing what's going on. And then all of a sudden, a hearse is going to appear behind you, start riding your bumper. And then some stories even go as far as to say that they were pushing them with their bumper and ran them off the road. There's a lot of speculation as to who themselves is driving the hearse, depending regionally where you go. Some stories claim that it is an old mortician who was so respectful to the dead that he himself actually got a job from death and he uses that road in order to carry bodies to the afterlife for some reason. Or it's death himself coming to get you. Do I think this road is actually haunted? No. I've been down this road several times and never even realized it. Do I think it's super spooky and fun to think about? Yes. That's all I have for today. I hope you guys have a good one. Mwah. Mammoth Caves is one of the most well-known caves in the nation. On top of that, it's one of the most visited caves in the nation too. But did you know she's supposed to be haunted? Hello and welcome to Haunted Kentucky, a series I started so I have an excuse to talk about all of the spooky shit that happens in my home state. Small panic! And that is exactly what we're talking about today. Floyd Collins and Mammoth Cave. Now if you're unfamiliar, Floyd Collins was an expert explorer. He loved spelunking and he loved going and exploring caves. However, unfortunately, when he visited Mammoth Cave, it seems as though he got a bit turned around. Mr. Collins unfortunately ended up getting lodged in one of the smaller tunnels of the cave. He lost his life, but it was not without one hell of a fight. Mr. Collins lasted 14 days alone, without food, without water, just alone with his thoughts, and that to me is probably the most terrifying thing on the face of the earth. Think about it. You know you fucked up. You cannot turn, you cannot move, you're stuck. You're starving, you're thirsty, you gotta pee, you gotta poop, and you are just there alone with your thoughts. They did send a rescue team after Mr. Collins, however, he perished 2 days before they were able to reach him. Then with his body stuck the way it was another 2 months before they were able to return his remains to his loved ones. And that is supposedly the ghost that's haunting Mammoth Caves, one amongst many. Electrical disturbances specifically are very notable in Mammoth Cave. And now there are guards upon warning signs upon warning signs so that you may never reach the same fate as him. Do I think Mammoth Cave is haunted? That one? Yeah, probably. It's fucking spooky, bitch. Is it also fun to read about? Yes. But that's all I have for today. I'll see you guys later. Bye. Every single place you go, there is a story of a headless woman. I do not care what state or town you're from. Somewhere, wherever you are, there will always be a headless woman story. And Kentucky has one too. And we're going to talk about it right fucking now. Small panic. Hello and welcome to Haunted Kentucky, a series I started to give me an excuse to talk about all the spooky shit that happens in my home state. And today we are talking about the Headless Woman, specifically the Headless Woman of Iroquois Park. Now the story of this one supposedly goes that super duper way back in the day, when Kentucky was first being settled, that this family stole a plot of land from an indigenous tribe that lived there. Essentially bullied them out. They lived there for a few years, happy, until one day the tribe decided that they wanted to get their land back, descended upon the house, and essentially put an end to the woman that was in there. This supposedly happened in today's Louisville, Kentucky. Now, early tellings of the story try to make it seem like this was an unprovoked attack on this family. However, we're going to use our common sense and realize that it wasn't. It was retaliation, an eye for an eye, if you will. However, not to get hung up on the story, the ghost of this woman supposedly carries her head around Louisville. So if you're down there and happen to see a headless apparition, chances are it could be hers. But that's all I have for today. I hope you guys have a good one. Mwah! When I say hot rod heaven, you probably think about a car show or something like that. But if you were to say that to somebody in Kentucky, they would think of something completely different. Hi, hello, and welcome to Haunted Kentucky, a series I started to give me an excuse to talk about all of the spooky shit that happens in my home state. Small panic. And today we are going to be talking about Kentucky's hot rod heaven. Huzzah! So believe it or not, this legend dates all the way back to the 50s. The names have been lost to time. However, the story itself has remained completely the same throughout history. The story goes that there was a young couple racing down a road called Mitchell Hill Road in their car. And the reason why they were speeding is because they were late to a dance. Unfortunately though, shit goes south as it does. The couple, in their speeding, not only manages to lose control of their car, but to lose their lives as well. The car was completely totaled, and their bodies were laid to rest together in the Mitchell and Griffin Cemetery at the top of that hill. Now, supposedly, the girlfriend in the situation that lost her life also lost the ring that the young man gave her. And that was supposedly why they were racing. She wanted to show off this piece that her man had gotten her to all her friends. But she lost it in the car crash. So it said that her ghost wanders that road looking for her ring because she cannot be at peace until she gets it back. Do I think this road is haunted? I don't know, maybe. Do I think that it is spooky and really fun to read about? Yes. That's all I have for today. I hope you guys have a good one. Bye. Christianity is probably the most common religion in Kentucky. You can barely travel 20 fucking feet without seeing a damn church. Do you know that there's a shit ton of pagans here too? There is a statue in Louisville, Kentucky that was erected to a pagan god. And the statue supposedly comes alive at night and causes tiny mischief. Hi, hello, and welcome to Haunted Kentucky, a series I started so I can have an excuse to talk about all of the spooky shit that happens in my home state. Small panic! And today we are going to be talking about the statue of Pan. Yes, Pan, god of the forest. Now, as previously stated, in Louisville, Kentucky, there is a statue of the god Pan located in Cherokee Park. For over 10 years since this thing has been put up, people swear up, down, and sideways that this thing comes alive at night and it causes a bunch of chaos. And this is what the statue looks like. It's actually the topper of a fountain. However, still, this is the statue that supposedly comes alive at night. It causes just absolute chaos. Now, there's a tiny discrepancy on when this thing actually comes to life, depending on where you go. Some people say it specifically has to be a full moon, and others people specifically say that you just have to be there at night and see him in action. Do I think this little guy is haunted? Maybe. Am I gonna find out? Nope. But that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you have a good one. Bye. When I say haunted tree around spooky season, 9 times out of 10, the image that you conjure in your brain is going to look something like this. Boo! However, what if I told you that Kentucky is home specifically to one of the most haunted trees in the nation? Hi, hello, and welcome to Haunted Kentucky, a series I started so I could have an excuse to talk about all of the spooky shit that happens in my home state. Small panic! And today we're going to be talking about the donkey tree located in Kentucky. The legends behind the trees vary location to location. However, the one thing that remains consistent is bitch, that tree is haunted as fuck. And we're going to talk about it right fucking now. Huzzah! So there are 2 reasons specifically why this tree is called the donkey tree. The first reason, people think that it looks like the head of a donkey when you get up close to it. And honestly, I can see it, especially in this one. This one almost looks more like a bull to me, but what do I know? I am not a tree growing. Anyways, that's the first reason. And the second reason has specifically do with the story that's attached to the tree. Now, this is the part where the tree's lore starts to vary a bit. In some places, they say the reason why the tree is haunted is because an old farmer beat a donkey to death underneath that tree, not knowing that donkey was a gift from God himself. The spirit of the donkey then possessed the tree because it was not time for it to leave yet, and thusly that's why it's haunted. Now, the second story is really fucking sad, and this is the one that I kind of think is true. And that is, there was an orphanage that was around that area that happened to double as a farm. That happened a couple of times in Kentucky, so it's not really that far off to think of, honestly. But anyways, there was a child on this farm that befriended the donkey. And the donkey would keep the child from being bullied, because whenever the child would yell out for the donkey would come and start nipping and kicking at the kids that were bullying this young boy. However, tragedy strikes one day. The bullies get tired of the donkeys, so they tied it out way, way, way far in the woods to where it could not even hear the kid yelling when he started. And then they took that child under that tree and proceeded to beat the child to death because they did not know when to stop. Eventually, the donkey does break free, and he spends a little time wandering around before he finds his boy. And the end of this legend goes is that the donkey essentially died of a broken heart because it just sat there under the tree protecting the boy's body. It refused to eat and it refused to move, so it just died along with the boy. And that legend says that it's not only haunted by the ghost of the donkey, but it's also haunted by the ghost of the boy as well. Now, the lore of this tree starts to merge once more when you ask about what happens to people who go around the tree. Both sides say the same exact thing, which is if you touch the tree, you are cursed to die within 24 hours. And the only way to break the curse is to leave an offering of fruit or an apple under the tree. And then if you just walk on by the tree, not disturbing anything, if you are worthy, it is said that you are then blessed by those 2 spirits. And you will see some kind of small fortune on your way home or within the next day or 2. Do I think that this tree is actually haunted? A little bit. I mean, look at that thing. That is spooky as hell. Do I think that it's a really cool story and it's really awesome to read about? Hell yes. But that's all I have for today. I hope you guys have a good one. Bye. When I say haunted bar, the first thing most people think of is probably Bobby Mackey's, because that is the most famous haunted bar in Kentucky. But if I can be honest with you, there is a slew of haunted bars in Kentucky. And the one that we're going to talk about today is specifically a haunted tavern. Small panic. Hi, hello, and welcome to Haunted Kentucky, a series that I started so I could have an excuse to talk about all of the spooky shit that happens in my home state. And today we are going to be talking about the Kentucky Horror House, historically known as the Abner Gaines House, but most famously known as Gaines Tavern. Huzzah! Now, the Abner Gaines House itself, pictured here, is located in Walton, Kentucky, and has a very, very bloody history associated with it. It has been featured on Ghost Hunters, and the reason why people believe it is so haunted is because of the number of not only natural deaths, but murders and suicides that also took place in that house over the years. To be quite honest with you, when checking out the history, it does not look like that they had a year without an incident. There was always something going on there. However, it still remains open to this day to the public, and you are more than welcome to go check it out for your spooky selves. Do I think that this specific place is haunted? A little bit, yeah. I currently live very close to this one. Do I think the history about it is super fun to read about and super fun to learn about? Yes. That's all I have for today, though. I hope you guys have a good one. Bye. One type of story that every single state in our nation shares is the Gray Lady story. It does not matter what state you are from or what state you are currently in. Those states have a Gray Lady story. However, does your Gray Lady story include a phantom Spanish opera singer? My state's does. Hi, hello, and welcome to Haunted Kentucky, a series that I started so I can have an excuse to talk about all of the spooky shit that happens in my home state. Small panic. Today we are going to be talking about Frankfort's Liberty Hall, a home that one of our senators built for himself, a home that not only has a Gray Lady haunting it, but a Spanish opera singer as well. Woohoo! This is the Liberty Hall in itself. It is open to visitors and the public, but the most prevalent spirit that is there is 100% their Gray Lady. 9 times out of 10, if something spooky happens there, she done it. Who is the Gray Lady? According to the legend, her name specifically is Miss Margaret Varick, and the reason why she was inside of the house was because she traveled 800 miles to attend the funeral of a family member. Unfortunately, though, during the funeral, she had a heart attack and died, and the family decided that it was best to bury her out in the garden. I'm not sure what they were thinking, but I don't think that was a good idea. Anyways, she is the one that is said to be roaming and causing all of the mischief that happens in that house. As for the Spanish opera singer, the way that they ended up in the house is that they came there to perform and then mysteriously vanished that same night. When it comes to him specifically, he doesn't cause that much mischief. It is said that if you see him at all, he's just looking off in the distance, depressed. Some people leave offerings for the ghosts. Do I think this place is actually haunted? Yeah, this one actually has a good chance of being haunted for sure. You know how I think about politicians. Do I also think that the history is really fun to read about and really fucking spooky? Yes. That's all I have for you today. I hope you guys have a good one. Bye. I'm going to say a statement that we all can collectively agree upon. Most, if not all, prisons are haunted. I feel like we all can collectively agree on that at least most prisons are haunted. If nothing else, just to the viciousness of how people treat other people in there. The fucking madhouse. Did you happen to know that Kentucky was home to one of the most haunted prisons in the entire world? Hi, hello, and welcome to Haunted Kentucky, a series I started so I could have an excuse to talk about all of the spooky shit that happens in my home state. Small panic. And today we are going to be talking about the Kentucky State Penitentiary in Eddyville. Eddyville? The bird says it's Eddyville. No, but seriously, this place is fucking spooky. So spooky that not a single prisoner or guard can work or stay in that area without some spooky shit happening to them. It was built in 1886, and structurally it was deemed a work of art. And the reason why it was collectively referred to as a work of art was because it was specifically built to house a great number of people, which is kind of terrifying to think about. However, things happen there all the fucking time. All the fucking time as in every fucking day. From spooky footsteps, to people seeing orbs, to people seeing full-blown apparitions right in front of them. Do I think that this place is haunted? I don't know. I've never been to prison, and I hope to never go, so I guess I'll never find out. Do I think that the history of this prison is absolutely horrifying and very scary to read about? Yes. But that's all I have for today. I hope you guys have a good one. Bye. When I say Jesse James, almost everybody conjures up a picture of a gunslinger in their head. They went down in history as one of America's most feral outlaws. But did you know that his ghost hangs out in Kentucky? Specifically, a Kentucky tavern. Hi, and welcome to Haunted Kentucky, a series I started so I can have an excuse to talk about all of the spooky shit that happens in my home state. Small panic. And today we are going to be talking about the Talbot Tavern in Bardstown, Kentucky. Huzzah! Now, the Old Talbot Tavern, as previously stated, is located in Bardstown, Kentucky. It is open for business and to the public for visits if you would like to go. It really is a beautiful building. I think it is absolutely stunning. But the stories that come from this tavern apparently say that Jesse James himself is seen as an apparition walking around like he's still alive today and doesn't know any difference. But why was Jesse James there? To be completely fucking honest, he just liked it. Seriously, Jesse James apparently was a frequent flyer of this bar, tavern, whatever the correct technical term for it is. And it being one of his favorite places after he died, that's where he chose to hang out, supposedly. Super duper fun fact, he was the first person ever to report seeing any sort of paranormal activity at that tavern. And he was not the only famous person to go to that tavern as well. According to many historical documents, the list of famous people that has stopped here is extensive. We have Washington Irving, Henry Clay, Stephen Foster, Andrew Jackson, William Henry Harrison, Abraham Lincoln, the exiled King of France, and of course, Jesse James. Just to note as well, he loved staying at that tavern so much he had his own room, which now for good reason is called the Jesse James Room. Do I think that this place could be haunted? I do think that there is a good chance that every bar or tavern is haunted. But is it also really fun to read about and really fucking spooky? Yes. That's all I have for today. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. There are very few places on this earth that can strike fear into my heart just by me hearing its name. One of those specific places just happens to be about an hour right down the road from me. Hi, hello, and welcome to Haunted Kentucky, a series I started so I could have an excuse to talk about all of the spooky shit that happens in my home state. Small panic. And today we are going to be talking about one of my least favorite places on the face of this fucking earth. And that would happen to be the Waverly Hills Sanitarium. I do not like it. Have I ever been? No. Just the history of that place, though, scares the living shit right out of me. Will I ever go? Maybe. But today is not that day. And the history, honestly, is exactly what you would expect from a place like this. The hospital itself started out as a tuberculosis ward. However, after the cure for tuberculosis was found, it kept switching hands. Changing of the times along with changing hands is what eventually led it to be the sanatorium. The hospital itself opened in 1910 as the tuberculosis ward. After the cure for tuberculosis was found, it then doubled as a sanitarium. In 1958, it officially became a geriatric hospital, and in 1982, it was completely shut down, doors closed, and boarded up for extreme cases of neglect and abuse. Now, apparently, according to some folks, the neglect and the abuse genuinely started the days those doors opened, and it never stopped until the day the doors closed for good. Nearly 50,000 people died over the course of that place being open. I think that there is an absolutely strong chance of that place being haunted. Some of the individual stories that come from that place specifically are absolutely mortifying. But it's still open to the public to this day, and for about $30 a pop, you and your friends can go have the shit scared out of you. Do I think that this place is haunted? Yeah, I think the ghosts are haunting the shit out of it. Do I think that the history is really fucking spooky and really sad to read about? Yes. That's all I have for you today, though. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye. When I say the word cemetery, 9 times out of 10, people think of one thing in specific. Ghosts. Or zombies or spooky shit. Rarely ever would the word beautiful pop into somebody's head when you say that. However, one specific cemetery in Kentucky, haunted and beautiful seem to go hand in hand. Hi Hi, hello, and welcome to Haunted Kentucky, a series I started so I can have an excuse to talk about all of the spooky shit that happens in my home state. Small panic! And today we are going to be talking about Cave Hill Cemetery in Louisville, Kentucky, which is not only home to beloved Colonel Sanders, but to some of the most beautiful artwork I have ever seen in my life. Huzzah! Now, when I say artwork, that is exactly what I mean. These are works of art. The memorials by themselves will take your breath away. All different religions, all differences of beliefs, different social classes, it does not matter. This cemetery treats every single one of their occupants with the absolute utmost respect and dignity. That is the most beautiful thing I find about this specifically. However, it's said that at night, that different Civil War soldiers will roam around and fight each other within the confines of that specific cemetery. The cemetery itself was built in 1848 and is still selling plots if you are interested in being laid to rest there, which I am. I think it is gorgeous there. I would love to haunt that place. Do I think this cemetery could be haunted? Yeah, I think that all cemeteries are haunted. Do I think this one is extremely gorgeous and extremely fun to read about? Yes. That's all I have for today, though. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye. Usually when I say something's haunted, most often people think that I'm talking about one specific place, like a house or a plot of land. But did you know that Kentucky has an entire haunted town? Hi, and welcome to Haunted Kentucky, a series I started so that way I could have an excuse to talk about all of the spooky shit that happens in my home state. Small panic. And today we're going to be talking about Old Louisville, a town that is entirely haunted. Huzzah! So when I say this town is haunted, I mean exactly what I say. Every single piece of land and building in that town is supposedly haunted. Multiple sources have even gone on to say that this is the most haunted town in America. From former residents haunting their old houses, all the way to the witch's tree that still serves to this day as a meeting place for Kentucky covens. And yes, I mean that as well. There is a line of witches whose families have been meeting there for generations, and they all seem to be very fucking sweet. I have nothing bad to say about them. But the history behind Old Louisville itself is about as rich and thick as molasses. There's so much of it. Gorgeous architecture, gorgeous land, and gorgeous people. Do I think Old Louisville could possibly be haunted? While it is 100% possible in my opinion, I think that there's more so just haunted places there, more rather than the town itself being haunted. But that's all I have for today. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye!